The Baltimore Ravens are back, but that is not the big story. The big story is them being back further clouds the race to the playoffs in the AFC. We'll discuss that more here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I love to hear it. I love her when she says your team every day because it's true. It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of The Barbershop here, one of two shows on the Locked On NFL network that you can find each and every day wherever you get your podcast, whether you watch or listen. We will be there so you do not miss an episode like the one today that is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Shout out to those everydayers that move themselves to show up here with us each and every day. We don't take that for granted. And if you're new, we're going to move you to be an everydayer. Boy, I'm working that move word today. Let's move on to our host here today. And that's my man, Matt Williamson from the Peacock and Williamson podcast. He is going to help navigate us around the National Football League by using the clips from local experts that have their finger on the pulse of each and every team. So let's get right to it. We're going to whip around and pick them late. I did a horrible job last week. I think I probably missed way more games than I thought that I made, but we'll whip around and try it again for you in segment 3. Big game in Pittsburgh.
You know what, Wig? Peacock and I pick on Friday against the spread. And I've been pretty good this year, but I was 1-13 last week.
See, I took responsibility and said me. It was actually you that picked those games last week.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. So but right in the middle of the show, big game for Pittsburgh. You know that more than anybody because that's where you reside and cover. The Steelers and the Colts. That's a big one, but it's not the biggest one of the week. We're gonna get to the biggest one of the week, but we're gonna talk about it framed in this. The Baltimore Ravens are back, man. You know when Mark Andrews start catching touchdowns, that something is up. And he is a favorite target in the red zone of Lamar Jackson. They showed up and showed out last night. And I ain't going to make too much noise about it because they beat the team that doesn't have a whole bunch of dump trucks. They beat the Miami Dolphins. What do you think about the game last night?
Yeah, early on, I kind of looked at Baltimore and thought they're knocking some rust off, including Lamar. You know, I mean, he's got this hamstring. He's never dealt with that before. He's kind of reluctant to run. They're not dominating in any capacity. And then I just kept watching Miami going, boy, they just keep throwing opportunity after opportunity away. And then the dam broke open and Baltimore got comfortable. Miami started to lose any hope, and you could just see that getting sucked out of them. And now they're eliminated. And frankly, from a Steeler perspective, I couldn't be more terrified of the Ravens. I mean, they're coming on strong. Steelers are playing the Colts. I don't think they'll probably win that game. And before you know it, we're going to see Lamar and the Allen and Mahomes and all those guys in the playoffs where they belong,
Yep. Let's get to Miami. Let's send them on. We got to take the trash out. You know what I'm saying? Let's do some recycling. So let's go ahead and send Miami on out. Listen to Kyle Krabs talk about the game, and then we're going to come back and hammer that point you said about the Ravens in just a second.
To quote one of the popular Mike McDaniel isms, we are now officially one day closer to death. The Miami Dolphins in Week 9 falling by a final score of 28-6 in Thursday Night Football, failing to reach the end zone despite a very productive first half performance by the offense. And it unfortunately is a great summation of the entire Mike McDaniel era. Too often, good things being done undone by small attention to detail and the little things, the little margins that will make the difference throughout a football game and a season were the things that betrayed the Dolphins once again. They will look to pick up the pieces after this loss, but will do so by welcoming the Buffalo Bills to town next week with a little bit of extra preparation. Hopefully that extra time can get this team honed in on some of those small details.
Listen, man, great coaches always sound like they're doing coach speak when they talk about the little things. It just seems like to me, Miami is one of those teams that may have a really, really good play caller, but they are a team that is missing the little things that coaches always talk about.
1,000%. I think that's even true with ownership in the front office and the organization over the last, for several regimes now. And he is kind of a whipping boy, and that's what happens when head coaches, lose games. But I think that McDaniel is a really, really good coordinator, not much of a leader of men / CEO, Bill Parcells type,
Yep, no doubt. Now, there's a leader of men on the other side. John Harbaugh never seems like he's worried about anything. And if I had Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't worry about a whole bunch of it. A lot has been talked about their lack of communication and all of this. They won 2 games in a row. Last week, they proved they could win without him, even though it was a bad team. This week, they won with him against another bad team. Something sneaky happened, though. Their defense got opportunistic. And we always wonder when it was going to happen. Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton, all these dudes that got on the back end, and it happened. It happened right in front of our eyes. So now you said you were afraid. You should be, because they're coming, and now it's muddying the waters for the playoffs in the AFC.
1,000%. And I know we'll kind of get into the AFC and all that, but a huge key to me is just looking at the North. Obviously, the Browns are out of it. I think the Bengals are real close to being out of it, and a loss this weekend probably means Hendrickson's on the move. And I meant to say that about Miami, too. They probably start selling off some pieces, too, and really punt. But the Ravens are playing better than the Steelers. They got the best player of the group. They're only going to be a game behind unless the Steelers can pull off an upset. And these teams face twice. So my hunch, Wig, and it would be so Steeler-Raven-esque, is Week 18, the last game of the year, is going to be for the division.
And because of 2 teams in the West, 3 teams in the West being good, possibly if Houston can get it right, 3 teams in the South having records. I ain't going to necessarily say being good, but having records that's good enough to get. And then Buffalo maybe not winning division, or even if they do win it, you got to think, man. New England has won 6 games. They still got games against the Jets and the Dolphins left. That at least gets them to 8 or 9, right?
They're getting to 10 plus, yeah.
So they're getting to 10 plus. So now you're sitting there like, well, there's only 3 wild card teams, and that's the problem about Week 18. If you're Pittsburgh, you play with your food a little bit too much, and Baltimore is on their way. That could be not only for the division, it could be for a spot in the playoffs.
1,000%. And I've said this on my show that I do every day for Steelers.com, that for weeks now, I've predicted only one team comes out of the North. And to me, it's now a 2-horse race, and it favors the Ravens.
It didn't look like that, though. It did not look like that at the very beginning, man. So we're going to get with the Steelers and why that's more difficult, because they have a very, very difficult game in a game that I would consider the game of the week if there wasn't another big game on the horizon. So we'll get to all of that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is brought to you and sponsored by Mazda. We are moving the game forward, man. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Lamar Jackson coming back, and all of a sudden, Mark Andrews raising up out of the woods and playing like the Mark Andrews we all thought he could. 2 touchdowns last night, some big catches, and he just looked like he had more energy. And that's because his road dog was back. Lamar's back, and now he's putting everybody on notice that there might be problems. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. And today's show is brought to you and sponsored by FanDuel. That is right. I know, man, week 9. Where did it all go? Where's all the games? Yeah, we're in week 9 of the NFL season, but guess who's back? The NBA. That's right. And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making the late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Got my dude, man, Matt Williamson right here. Got some big games to discuss. One of those big games, he's going to be front and center. Pittsburgh and the Colts play a huge game. Pittsburgh has to try to keep some distance. I hate when teams got to win games, and it's against a real good team, especially a good team like Indy. And if they're going to do it, they're going to have to stop Jonathan Taylor. And Chris Carter right here on the crossover is telling you how big of a problem the Steelers defense has been.
But the problem is right now, the Steelers defense is struggling mightily. And that's kind of the story of the team right now. We spent pretty much every day this week talking about the defense and what's going on there. For example, the Steelers defense, where it's ranked top 10 in scoring for each of the past 3 years under Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator, they're 22nd in scoring. They're dead last in passing yards per game. Now, they're able to win certain situations. They're fourth best in red zone defense, fourth best in third and short. They're top 10 in turnovers, and they're actually not bad in expected points. But it's just there's been so many breakdowns that I've seen happen with this team, and it's continuing to mount.
You know this firsthand, and shout out to Chris, who's on obviously our Thursday co-host. But I'll get your spill on it. What on earth is going on? It almost sounds like an oxymoron to say Pittsburgh and defense, and then it not be a good thing that you're saying.
Yeah, and that's all I talk about, to be honest with you, Wig. And people around here think the sky is falling. They think since Joe Green showed up that it's your God-given right to have a top 5 defense. And hey, I'm kind of spoiled too, and I think you're right. I mean, you're spending the most cap space in the league on defense. I still believe there's really good players on that side of the ball. I think the scheme has let them down dramatically. I think they overestimated the man coverage abilities of some of these older secondary pieces and that they're slow. And teams are getting the ball out of their hands really, really quick to nullify what I still think is a really good pass rush. And there's two things, Chris. One thing he touched on, but two things I really want to elaborate on. They haven't got it the last 2 weeks, but they're still a great defense at creating splash plays, forced fumbles, batting passes down, interceptions, sacks. And when they don't get it, they lose. And they didn't get it for 2 weeks. And it's just a hard way to live. But I do a lot of work with Steeler numbers. We call it Matt Stats. You can find it on Steelers.com. And this is my favorite one that I dug up all week is 47% of the points allowed that for the Steelers this year are coming in the fourth quarter. If you just break it down by quarter, they're like 8th best, 10th best, 12th best, and then a distant 32nd in the fourth quarter. They're old. They're on the field too much. They're breaking down late in games. And teams are figuring out the schemes, which are pretty simplistic.
Yeah, they are simplistic. And the thing that I've seen is it's not as so much as personnel from the outside looking in.
They've good players.
Yeah, and Darius Slay, there's a role for a guy like that. It just shouldn't be running around here chasing after T. Higgins.
I'll tell you real quick, Wig, I'm not sure Slay's going to be here much longer. He made a lot of business decisions this last game, and he looked slow. He could get traded for a 7th round pick or even cut.
Even cut and end up right back in Philadelphia for a bag of peanuts up there.
Go win the Super Bowl again.
right. Where he probably needs to be at this point. Pittsburgh expecting Darius Slay the name, but it's not. It's Darius Slay, the old man that's in there at this point. But Terrell Austin has been the dude that I've seen in the crosshairs from a lot of people.
Big time.
And I'll say it out loud. When you say scheme, that's what it is. And we know Tomlin can be very, very stubborn when it comes to his coaches. He protects them. And he does. And that's a very, very nice thing about him. But sometimes it can also be a blind spot. What isn't a blind spot is
super quick, Wig. The only time I've seen a coordinator fired midseason in my life is Matt Canada a couple years ago. They just don't do it,
Yeah. No blind spots in Indy.
No, they're rolling.
Daniel Jones, man.
Yeah.
And I thought that Will Fry's kid, I think that's how you say his name.
Yep.
The guard they had that they let go to Minnesota. I'm like, how can they let him go? What are they doing? Ain't no way. They always
They're
got
fine.
something, man.
Yeah.
You never know what teams have in development. You never know when they say, "Nah, man, we good player, but you know what? We just got to move on and move forward." They can block. Jonathan Taylor's finally healthy. I said a few years ago when everybody was talking about Saquon Barkley and everybody was talking about Derrick Henry, I said physically, Jonathan Taylor's a combination of both of them because he's a track guy who has long speed. He runs for power. He just can't stay healthy. He has now, and now it is something else. And we also discussed, how new coaches get players and they have books on them. And so, like, we all of a sudden think that when a team or a GM takes over a club, that they didn't scout guys before. Like, okay,
Right.
maybe they had the benefit of bad coaching, but I knew what I was thinking about him before. Here's Shane Steichen telling a really funny story about Daniel Jones.
He remembers going through the pre-draft process and you and him shooting hoops at Cameron Indoor. What do you remember about that experience and the person you knew then versus the guy you know now?
That was one of his things we had to get done. So when I called him, we went out there, and obviously you send him the mini playbook and you go through the stuff, be ready to roll. And I said, but you got one real job. Make sure we get into that Cameron Indoor so we can play horse. And he said, all right. And so we got there and we did the workout. And I said, you get that thing set up? He's like, yeah, I got it. So we got in there and shot around a little bit. And then we went in and talked ball a little bit and obviously just killed all the stuff we sent him. Didn't miss anything. Very cerebral. Watched game tape with him. He was phenomenal, in that process.
Was there a point in the evaluation, like, okay, can he get me on Cameron Indoor? Is that like, okay, can this guy solve problems? Who's he done?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what that was one of the main things. Like, you got to get us in there. You know what I mean? You're the starting quarterback there. Let's get that done. And sure enough, the football facility is right next to Cameron Indoor. So sure enough, he got it done and he passed the test with flying colors.
Now, people will think he's joking, right? You
No.
lived in that scouting world. We always talk about it. We ain't trying to solve problems. We're trying to find solutions. That's a big deal to him, isn't it? For real.
I love it. I love hearing that story. Especially with the quarterback for a couple levels. First off, it's a great one-on-one situation. We get to spend real time together, maybe sweat a little bit and just be people and see how we work together. You also see his creativity because it's horse. It's not just sitting there shooting free throws or three-pointers. And you definitely see his competitiveness. And you also see some glimpses of athletic ability. In my Steeler history, I played in a, quote, celebrity softball game. I was the least celebrity on the field. But Ben Roethlisberger was a shortstop. I played first. First hit ball goes to him. He's playing like in left field. He flicks his wrist. The ball breaks my glove, just rips the webbing out of my glove. He came to the plate 6 times, hit 5 homers. Everybody on the team said he'd be their best dart player, their best bowler, their best jockey, whatever he decided to be great at, he'd be great at. And that's what I want my quarterback,
Absolutely. And what it says to me is, okay, you're there. You're the starting quarterback. The facilities are right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to get me in there. Done.
And that's a pretty good program in basketball too.
Right, but what kind of weight do you carry with the people
yeah.
down there? Like he says he asked him if he got it done. He said, yeah. That means he didn't. Where I think he was in Philly at the time, they didn't get a call. Big Dom didn't get a call from the SID at Duke saying, "You guys really want?" No, he said, "I need the gym open." That tells me who you are to those people. That tells me
it probably took 3 minutes to get it done.
That's right. And so I always tell people these coaches have a book on players. You never know. This is why when people say tanking, I'm sitting there like, are y'all serious? You serious? You start tanking, playing a game late in the season, it doesn't mean anything. The defensive coordinator on the other side might be a head coach at some point. He's gonna say, I remember you tanked. I saw you do it. You just can't ever do it. And it shows you that these coaches always have their eye on something. I ain't going to belabor this, but I'm going to tell you what else this means to me. Trust. This means trust. When you made the point up of softball, hopscotch, kickball, usually the dude that gets picked first is the quarterback, the point guard, or your pitcher or your closer. Here's somebody athletically that look at all of those people and go back their entire life. I guarantee you, no matter what was being played, stickball, I don't care if you were playing tag, whatever, they got picked first just because of who they were.
And what's funny is those three positions you mentioned, point guard, pitcher, quarterback, are the ones that touch the ball.
The ones that touch the ball. The quarterback, they want to be able to trust you. And they got to know who you are, which is why I've been criticized recently for saying this, but the Jekyll and Hyde, the great plays and then the bad plays, that variance, that Trevor Lawrence experience, the Jameis Winston stuff, the Jay Cutler stuff, that's why those coaches can't stand it. You don't have to be as good as those guys can be when they're good. You can be less than that, but you can't ever be that dude that's down here. Yep. Because now I don't know what I'm going to get from you play after play. So
trust with coaches is so important.
It absolutely is. That's good stuff right there. All right, we're going to whip around and pick them like we always do. Hopefully we get more right than we did last week here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Rougiette. Look, man, let's be real about it. Making those excuses doesn't solve anything. We don't try to solve problems. We look for solutions, and I got one for you. We've all heard it before, though. It's just stress, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatment for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. You know what I mean? Rougiette makes it, it's not hard at all to get started. You just connect with the board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments, people looking at you funny and all of that. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/lockedonnfl to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnfl. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNFL so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, here we go. Time to whip around and pick them with my man, Matt Williamson. Matt usually be on the money, man, so I ain't going to give him a hard time about the fact that we'd have been in the broke house last week.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it didn't go good, but hopefully it'll go a little bit better for us. All right, let's get to it. Bears kind of disappointed me last week, but the Bengals disappointed me even more. So who you got, Bears or Bengals?
I got the Bears. I expect it to be a real high-scoring game, maybe a fun game, but then I think the Bengals are cooked.
Yep, I think they're cooked too. And you lose to the Jets, that means you pretty much cooked. Interesting game a little bit because I think the rookie quarterback is coming back. Bad spot for him, though. Minnesota has to go to Detroit.
Yeah, it's a real bad spot. And I'm not saying McCarthy's going to be bad. I'm just not there yet. I think they're in for a real long day.
I've been hearing a lot of slander about KOC. That's crazy to me. Kevin O'Connell's a real good coach, but at some point, man, you start looking real bad. You know, people that they're not going to blame themselves, so they'll blame you if you're the coach. And I tell you what, if they fire Kevin O'Connell, he'll be hired in a day.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Panthers. Oof. They got to go play the Packers, who seem to – this is the first time I looked at Green Bay and I said, okay, they found it. There it is. Green Bay looked good last week.
Yeah, and I studied them before. I watched every snap of that. I think Green Bay is real good and wins this game at home going away, yeah.
Big game. Broncos and Texans. Either the Broncos are going to keep rolling along and then people are going to start saying Super Bowl, or Houston's going to prove that they're back after beating San Francisco last week.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Every time I'm ready to bet on Houston, they have a tough game, and I have a tough time picking it, and I always seem to pick them wrong. But I'm going to take the home team here with Surtain out, and I think Nico comes back. I think that's enough.
Yep, it's enough. Falcons had a stinker last week, and you want to start looking at that pink slip line, you might see Raheem Morris. They have to go up to the Patriots and play Mike Vrabel.
You mentioned trust earlier. I'm quickly trusting the Patriots on both sides of the ball, and I've lost all trust in the Falcons.
Absolutely. How about Kayvon Chason, man? Jaguar was traded. I mean, they let him go and hung on to him, and people around here, I was one of them that said it was 3 years too long. Kayvon Chason is looking like a real good player for Mike Vrabel. Some people just bring it out of him. Your 49ers and the Giants, that's a tough one for me because I thought the 49ers were going to win last week, and they didn't.
I know, me too. I think this could be closer than people think. I'll take the Niners, but this has some upset smell about it. You know, cross country, 1 o'clock.
Absolutely does. That game we talked about earlier, the one that you will be front and center with Steelers.com, that is Colts visiting Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I took the Steelers to lose this game 38-23.
Yeah.
I think they're going to let up a lot of points.
Yeah, sounds like it. And trust me, they're going to keep running. And then you got to run. You got to worry about the quarterback running too, and that's even worse. The Chargers, come on, man. Why are we going to do this to the Titans? The Titans are done, right? They're cooked.
Yep. And I think Alt coming back was exactly what the Chargers need. They're right back in this thing.
Another little dangerous team, too. Saints are making a quarterback change. All Shuck now. We're going to Tyler Shuck. It's a tough game, though, because Jared Verse and the crew is waiting for him in L.A.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch them, but I don't think they get a win.
Yeah. All right, here we go. I'm going to let you pick this one. Jaguars at 4-3. We talked about that AFC wildcard picture. They cannot lose this game against the Raiders.
No, I do expect the Raiders, Carroll, Geno, to at least be respectable after the bye. They were so bad. And I hate this Hunter news. We haven't mentioned that. I'm sure you're aware of it, but I saw it right before we hit record. But I'm still taking the Jags.
Yeah, Travis with a little bit of a knee, and it happened after practice on Thursday. What all did you hear about that, by the way?
He's going to IR.
Oh man, I did not.
That just happened like right before we hit record.
Yeah, so I actually was so busy with my stuff here, I got to get it, and that's not a good thing for the Jaguars at all.
It's gonna keep you busy when we're done here, I have a feeling.
I almost paused and said, "Wait, we got to finish this. I got to go to do that now." But no, the biggest game of the week for me is Chiefs and Bills.
I'm taking the Chiefs. I don't think the Bills' defense is good. I think that's kind of an underreported story.
Yep, Chiefs probably the best team in the league at 5-3. Sunday Night Football, good game. Seahawks and Commanders.
Yeah, I'm a big Seattle fan, and I don't know if we'll see Jaden Daniels or not. Either way, I still will take Seattle. They travel really well.
They do, and Mike McDonald is one of those coaches that all those people, when all these coaches start getting fired and you got a young quarterback and you're sitting there going, we need to make sure we get us an offensive-minded head coach, I want you to look at Seattle and Mike McDonald. Every time you start thinking that and realize that that ain't what you necessarily need to do. Finally, Monday night, Cowboys, Cardinals, another game that Jerry gets to show how inept he is at this point. I'm probably going to go with the Cowboys because they can score.
Me too. I just really think Dak in this offense is superb right now. I don't have a lot of faith in either one of these teams at the moment, though.
No doubt about it. I got faith in y'all, though. You guys will be with us each and every day here on Locked On NFL. Matt Williamson is going to go get at it, and I'm going to go get it. Matt just told y'all I'm about to get busy with the Travis Hunter news of him going to IR. So make sure you guys tap into the weekend action. Check Matt out everywhere you can get Matt on the Peacock and Williamson podcast and on Steelers.com. We don't take y'all for granted at all, man. We're glad y'all joined us here for almost 28 minutes. We'll see you later. Locked On NFL. Enjoy the weekend.